Hey there, John Gibson here, your PCOS fat loss coach. Now, I want to share something with you today, but before I do that, around this video, you should see a link, and that should take you to fatextractionmethod.com. Now, I want to dive in today and talk about motivation and the struggles we have with motivation and things like that. But before I do that, I want to make sure you guys are aware, I do have a free training on specifically the steps you need to take to be able to lose weight with PCOS and why, even though you tried so many different things, you're not seeing success. So go ahead and go to fatextractionmethod.com. Check that out and yeah, start seeing results, okay? Now, today I want to dive into motivation because I just had this call a little while ago and I see a lot of women with PCOS who have this struggle. And the struggle is literally with motivation, right? She felt like, her big reason why she wasn't losing weight is because she wasn't motivated enough. So I went to her and I talked to her more about her motivation and said, okay, well, where area do you feel like you're lacking motivation? And she's like, oh, with food. I said, okay, well, what are you doing with your food? And she listed off kind of the things she was doing. And I was like, wait, you're doing good. She goes, yeah, but it's hard to stick with it. Well, why is that? Well, I don't know. I just stick with it for a while. I get bored. I don't see results very well. And then I fall away from it. I'm like, well, it doesn't sound like motivation is your issue, right? And then she goes, well, exercise is where my motivation lacks. I'm okay. And she goes, well, I'm doing these things with exercise and I do this and that and the other. And I just feel like I can't go as hard as the person who's doing. I watch a 30-minute video and I get halfway through it and I'm like, oh, I just can't do this. And I stop and I'm like, I'm just exhausted. I go, that doesn't sound like motivation either. That sounds like there's other things going on, right? So motivation, what I find with most people, motivation is not the struggle. Or if motivation is a struggle, it's because of other reasons. Now, specifically with PCOS, what I want to do is I want to talk about 3 different reasons why someone with PCOS may struggle with motivation, okay? Now, the first thing is you're not getting the results that you're hoping to get. Think about this for a second, right? If you're trying your hardest, right? You are pushing and you're trying to do everything you need to see success. You're eating the food you're supposed to be eating. Like you're supposed to go keto, so you get rid of all your carbs, or you do intermittent fasting and you're skipping your meals, right? And you're doing all these different diets, but you're not seeing results. Why in the world would you want to stick with that plan or that program, right? I don't see the lack of motivation. I see a lack of results because results are what move us and keep us going. Right? Why would we keep doing the same thing over and over again if we're not getting any results? I don't see that as a motivation issue. I see that as a results issue. So to be able to see results, you need to make sure that you're working with your PCOS. Too often I see a lot of people say, if you want to lose weight with PCOS, you have to cut your carbs, right? That doesn't do anything necessarily. That affects one aspect of fat loss, and that's it. That's it, okay? Now, with PCOS, we need to make sure we're following what I call the fat extraction method. And it's a method I've come up with, and it's more of a framework of how to build things and how to look at things, right? So first off, we need to make sure we're working with your appetite and cravings. Second is we have to actually work with your fat cells. How do we stop fat from being stored? Third is we have to actually start breaking down the fat, and so you're removing it from your fat cells. And then fourth is we have to make sure you can actually burn it, right? Okay, so those 4 areas. Well, when someone goes carb-free, they're only affecting one aspect of those areas. And you don't have to go completely carb-free to be able to help that aspect. Because really all carb-free does is it helps lower your insulin levels, because insulin is a storage hormone, right? If insulin levels are high, we tend to store fat, store carbohydrates, store things like that, right? So if we can get you to lower your insulin levels, then we can actually get you to maybe not store as much fat, okay? So there's a couple ways we can reduce that. One is eliminating carbs, right? Another thing we can do is actually through exercise. We can do some things with exercise to actually lower your insulin level so you don't store things as much. So again, why do we have to go with one way? Why do we have to say all carbs are gone when that is so boring, right? Everyone jumps on there and says, oh, my problem is I love carbs. And my first thought is, so do I. I don't know anyone who doesn't love carbs, right? So the motivation issue is not that you can't stick with a plan, okay? The motivation is the plan does not work. So we need to make sure we're doing the right things. And so we have to hit all 4 of those areas. If your program does not improve your appetite, then it's not a good program for you. If that program does not keep you or at least slow down your body from storing fat, it's not a good program. If your program does not break down fat very, very easily, very well, it's not a good program. And specifically with PCOS, if they do not specifically address your cells on how your cells use fat, it's not a good plan, okay? Because, I've shared this before, your fat cells, not your fat cells, your other cells, the cells that use fat and burn fat, we lack a molecule that takes that fat and moves it into the furnace where we burn it. So we need to make sure that we're addressing that, okay? So again, your motivation is not, your lack of motivation is not because I'm just not motivated, it's lack of results, okay? That's one thing that can be affecting that. So realize you just need to be doing something that will get you results, okay? Now, the second issue that I see is, okay, expecting too much from yourself. Now, think of it this way. Here's what happened with this lady I was talking to. She's like, oh, here I am, I'm following this workout program and they're going for like 30 minutes and I can only do 15 minutes and I get exhausted. Well, realize something. In that 15-minute period, that woman is actually probably working harder than the person who is doing the person who's actually doing the workout program. Okay, because the average, you think of your average kind of fitness person, female fitness person, they're probably weighing somewhere around the 120 to 140 pound range, right? What would happen if we were to strap on a 50-pound weight vest up to a 100-pound weight vest and ask that lady to do the exact same workout? Chances are she couldn't do the full 30 minutes the way she has it designed, right? She's not carrying around that weight. We like to say that she's in great shape, but she probably is, right? But that doesn't mean you're not in shape. What that could mean is that literally you are just carrying around extra weight, so you're working harder. Does that make sense? Right? So don't expect yourself to be acting at a certain level. Don't expect yourself to be running farther than you can handle. Okay? Start out slow. Here's a cool thing. Even with PCOS, you can actually lose quite a bit of fat by only doing 5 to 10 minutes of workout a day. Okay? All we need to do is, again, affecting those different areas. As long as we're affecting those 4 different areas, we can make sure that you can see the results you want to see. You don't have to exercise for 30 minutes, an hour, or whatever per day, right? Yes, I do like to get people to 30 minutes per day for other reasons, not necessarily just the fat loss aspect of things. But if we can get you exercising at least 5 minutes, okay? I don't know anyone who can't do 5 minutes, right? We can start getting you the results you want, okay? So don't expect so much from you, or don't compare yourself to someone else and say, man, with where I am right now, I don't have the energy this 120-pound person does. Well, again, that 120 pound, 140, 150, whatever pound person isn't carrying around an extra 50 to 100 pounds, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So realize you are actually doing more work. So we just need to affect those 4 different areas and we'll get you the results you want to see. Okay. Now the last area is literally we take away the enjoyment. Think about this. Okay. We go and we start doing these diets where, again, no carbs. We take that out of the way. Well, that gets bland and boring, right? Or we go to like very, very restrictive salads or something like that, or just chicken breast and broccoli and that's it. Well, that's so boring. Okay. To me, to see lifelong results, you have to enjoy what you're actually doing. Okay. Ice cream to me is an important part of your plan. If you don't like ice cream, okay, cool. You don't have to have ice cream. Okay. But whatever your favorite food is, that needs to be a part of your plan. And if it's not a part of your plan, you're not going to succeed long-term, because literally what you're doing is you're saying, okay, for a short period of time, I'm going to follow this plan, knowing that at the end of that plan, I'm going to stop and I'm going to start gaining the weight back. Well, you may not think that you're going to gain the weight back, but you will. Okay. So we have to have enjoyment in that plan. And again, with the whole fat extraction method that I have my clients do and that I teach, literally in the 5th week in the program I offer, the goal is go get treats. That's literally what the goal is. And typically when we get to that 5th week of the program, a lot of people mentally are just going, whoa, I've already put in a lot of work. I don't want to gain the weight back that I've already lost. I don't want to lose this momentum that I have, right? And I say, do it, because what I want to do is I want to help you realize that you can reach your goal eating cookies. You can reach your goal having ice cream. You can reach your goal having some fast food, right? And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're going to have cookies with every single meal. Okay. I'm not saying you're going to go out to fast food once a day. Okay. We're going to have some limitations on there, obviously, right? You need to be in control to a level. But that doesn't mean you can't have it ever. Doesn't mean you can't have it maybe once a week or twice, maybe even twice a week, right? Depending on you and your body, okay? So we have to have that enjoyment. If we don't have the enjoyment, you won't succeed. So most of the time when I talk to someone, it's not motivation that's the issue, okay? Or laziness or whatever else you want to call it. It's not that. That's not the issue. The issue is, number one, you're expecting to do the exact same thing as someone else who's not in the same place as you, even though you may be actually working harder than them. You're comparing yourself to someone who is either further down the road or has never been where you've been. Okay. That's one thing. Now, another thing, again, I got to remember myself what I was talking about. You're doing things that don't get you results. You got to make sure you're doing things that actually get you the results you want to see. Okay. And the last thing we talked about, you've got to have some enjoyment in there. If you're not enjoying the process, you're not going to see results. So if you want to know what I have my clients do, how I follow that fat extraction method that gives them the enjoyment, gets them the results, and as well is helps you realize where you're at and how you can get to where you want to be, right? So you don't have to worry about that motivation issue. If you want to do that, go to fatextractionmethod.com. Again, there should be a link around this video somewhere. Go to that place, go to that link, okay? And go check out the free training that I have for you. All right, this is John Gibson, your PCOS coach. I'll talk to you later.